if it's okay, could I ask Clive Heemskirk from TUSC, would it be okay for you to take the floor now, Clive?
Absolutely.
Thanks very
Thanks,
much for joining us. Floor's
Aaron.
yours.
Okay. Right. Well, thank first of all the organisers of tonight's meeting for inviting the Trade Unionists and Socialist Coalition to attend, TUSC for short. The headline theme of the meeting, which the speakers have referred to, is the need, I would say, for a working unity of the left in the campaign for a new mass party of the working class to be established. And of course, the background to that discussion
Is it just me that's lost Clive?
No, I think
No,
it's
it's
all of us.
He's gone.
Right.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just give Clive a couple of seconds to get back to us. I think, if not Roger, I'll ask you to take the floor, comrade, and then allow Clive to come
Okay,
back.
let's give Clive a minute first to see if he can get back with us.
Okie dokie. So tonight, comrades,
Hello,
after
Eric.
You're back, Clive.
I'm back. Sorry. I don't know if that was my end. Was that my end?
I think so, Clive. Yeah, I think sadly you were the only person we lost. Would it be okay, Clive? We heard your brief introduction, comrade, but if you could just start again. The floor's yours again.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry
Thank
about
you,
that.
Clive. No problem. Thank you.
I think that was my connection. Actually, I'm doing it from my phone, so it's always a problem. Anyway, as I was saying, thanking the meeting for inviting somebody from the Trade Unionists and Socialist Coalition, and I will use the abbreviation TUSC from now on, as it's simpler. And the headline theme of the meeting, as I was saying, is the need for what I would call a working unity of the left in the campaign for a new mass working class party. And also, of course, the background to that is the failure of your party, to achieve that, to achieve that unity. Now, myself and Dave Nellis, the former Labour MP, who is the chair of TUSC, were involved in the pre-discussions to establish your party from April 2024 in what was known as a group called the Collective, and involved in a whole number of comrades who I recognise who are here tonight. And it's worthwhile saying that we all sat in meetings where documents were agreed, comments were made. It was agreed absolutely. For example, there was a strategy document agreed in August 2024, nearly 2 years ago, called Beyond the 2024 General Election, which spoke of recognising the importance of both building unity, I'm quoting from this, as well as accommodating margins of differences and debate, values with emphasis on tolerance, inclusivity and solidarity. And in fact, the document explicitly said, and this wasn't unique in those meetings in saying this, that unity within the left was a required component for the establishment of a new mass party. And now that raises the question in my mind, assuming that everybody in those meetings had that intention. I'm not here to criticise anybody's bad faith, good or bad faith. Why wasn't it achieved? Why was that opportunity that was shown in the incredible response to Jeremy Corbyn and Zahra Sultana's initial joint appeal this time last year, why was that thrown away? And I don't believe it's because of bad faith. I believe there are issues here which we need to address, but why it's not been possible to get left unity in the struggle for a new mass party of the working class. And firstly, in my opinion, there's two main reasons, in my opinion, why your party was not able to fulfill its potential. Firstly, and most importantly, the failure to have a systematic campaign in the trade union movement before the new party was launched. And the trade unions, by the way, are still the basic organisations of the working class in this country, and a party that's a working class party that is not involving the trade unions, not based on the trade unions, will never gain any traction in society. But there was a failure to have a systematic campaign in the trade union movement before the new party was launched, and linked to that was the failure to even agree for a full role for those unions who could have been won to the idea of a new party, to give them ownership of that project. There were comrades who actually said we shouldn't waste our time in the with the trade unions, unfortunately, in those discussions. But giving the idea of ownership to those who are prepared, that those in the trade union movement who were prepared to fight for a new party, that was the only way, for example, that TUSC itself was able to keep the RMT trade union, 80,000 strong union, one of the most militant industrial unions in Britain, in our coalition for 10 years until the RMT left in 2022. And that was by ensuring their own independent, democratically decided political positions of that union would not be overridden, would not be outvoted, they wouldn't be overruled by the different socialist parties that are also involved in the trade unionist and socialist coalition, which, by the way, for 7 years included both the Socialist Party and the Socialist Workers' Party, the two biggest socialist organisations in Britain, who participated in those meetings, in that coalition for 7 years together, and of course whose own independent position as well couldn't be overruled by the same token by the RMT. Now, I'm not saying that your party or any new formation has to have exactly the same federal structure as TUSC, but the insistence that it couldn't have a federal structure, that representative democracy of delegates, local parties and trade unions and other organisations was not democratic, in my opinion, was a fatal flaw in the establishment of your party at that time. Now, the second reason, I'm going to hurry along because of time, the second reason, in my opinion, was the failure to build an anti-capture mechanism to regulate relations between the left. Now, in TUSC, we have this thing called the consensus rule, that nothing is agreed to take place in the name of TUSC unless it is accepted by all the component parts of the coalition. And that means, in effect, that different socialist organisations, while retaining the right to say what they want to say in their own name, and this really answers or amplifies Hannah's earliest point, they're not going to TUSC meetings, i.e. meetings of the coalition, of the federation, looking to defeat others, to outvote others, to impose their views on other people. What they go into is trying to convince others of their position. But if they can't win people to their position, they then have to, if you like, have the plan B to at least agree a way forward that everybody in the coalition is prepared to accept. That's the consensus rule that we have in TUSC. That wasn't the approach within your party. And as a result, there was the battle immediately for power within those structures of your party. And tragically, the result is it's going the same way as Respect, Left Unity, and other initiatives I've probably missed out, like the People's Alliance of the Left, and so on. There's not time, unfortunately, to comment here on the way forward. I'd urge comrades to check out the TUSC website or the reports of the campaigns that we're having in the trade unions for new working class political representation, not big gains, but debates in a whole range of unions over the summer. The only real victory, there's two victories. One was at Equity, the Actors Union perhaps taking the lead in terms of agreeing a political fund on the basis of a motion moved by a TUSC supporter at its annual conference. One or two other examples, read the report and see it there. But the last point I will say is that next year's elections, in terms of timing and the urgency of this, next year's elections will cover more councils than this year. There'll be 7,000 plus councillors up for election next year, including every seat in Scotland and Wales. And until there is a mass working class political alternative, TUSC is not going to go away. So I've seen lots of comrades, and there's one or two things in the chat and so on. So comrades want to regroup from a disappointing experience of your party, and I welcome that. TUSC welcomes that, encourages that. But I would urge the comrades to keep the going with TUSC Remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You don't have to reinvent every time. TUSC is there for comrades here, every member of an organisation, to use just as much as it is for the organisations and individuals currently involved.
Thank you, Clive. Another absolutely excellent contribution and more food for thought.